Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Our dear viewers, we welcome you to this special program on coronavirus, that is COVID-19, that the world is experiencing today. Half of the population of the world is under lockdown. Over 600,000 people confirmed, and over 29 people confirmed dead, and over 203 countries, areas, and territories have confirmed the cases of coronavirus present under or in their territories. In the Gambia here, we have seen that the coronavirus is affecting our lives in many various ways. And also recently, the President of the Republic has declared a state of emergency, which has changed our lives in many ways. But in the studio here to discuss this very important topic, that is coronavirus, I have two very gentlemen who are very dear to me as well. I have brother Bilal Jao, who is an entrepreneur and also a dental technician, my brother as well. And on my far right, I have Muhammad Njai, who was my classmate at Nusra Senior Secondary School. We kept in touch until today. He's also the Secretary General of the Gambia Basketball Association and also the founder of Hope Academy, which an academy that is famous in the Gambia and many people are aware of. So gentlemen, welcome to the show. I'll start the question with Mr. Muhammad Njai. Coronavirus has impacted the lives of youth, and I'd just like you to tell us how did this, virus impact the youths and the way the youths are living today?
Thank you very much for having me here. And then I think the impact is huge because 90% of young people are engaged in physical activities, that is sports, and then also education. So having kids to stay at home without going to school, some might be not doing something good at home, like they might be just loitering around. And then having kids also to stay away from all the sporting activities like football, basketball is difficult. At the initial stage, none of them think that the virus is serious. And then they are like, if you are doing sports, and then the virus will not, you won't have the virus. Mm-hmm. So they are thinking that maybe also the virus is not for Africa. Mm-hmm. So before we know it, it was already here. And then young people, as at now, even you go to certain football fields or basketball courts, it's difficult to keep them away because they are used to playing sports every day after school. So, but then one thing they have to understand, this is just a process, and then very soon it will be over. Mm-hmm. So staying at home, staying away from the basketball court, staying away from the football field will help us and help our families.
Mm-hmm. So staying away from the basketball court, staying away from the football fields, it means that it's having an impact on their life because of how youth will live. Like we are a very, active age group. We always want to move beyond the move, doing sports or meeting friends and all this. So this has affected us a lot. But what can we do to keep ourselves active during such type of period and also to keep ourselves useful, during such type of, like children are going to school, for example. Yeah. What can they do to keep themselves active and so forth?
Sports in general, especially like basketball, is always good to give back, to do community service. And then young people should be the leaders when it comes to giving back or community service. This is a point where they can all make sure that their families, starting from their families, make sure that whosoever is coming in the compound or going out should wash his hands first, making sure that all the kids in the house are being informed about the virus and then they are being helped. This is one thing that young people doing sports will do. Mm-hmm. And then from their homes, going to their communities, making sure that everybody is aware of the virus and then they are taking the precautions serious, yes, as outlined by the WHO. Yeah. So this is very important. And then this virus will not make young people useless or lazy at home. They should go out there and then help the communities, starting from their own compounds, starting from their own homes. Mm-hmm. So I think it's very important for them to realize this.
So that's very true, and we've seen outside when we go, young people are also involved. They are taking very vital roles. For example, like sensitizing the societies, and even when you see the Red Cross and other people, they are there, standing where people can come and wash their hands and so many things. So it means that youth have to be active during these days. Don't just stay home watching movies and doing nothing, but you can give back to the society. You can, work hard, you can sensitize people, and even at home, you just work out. Don't just, you can just do press-ups like the challenge that is going on nowadays. You can do press-ups, you can run around or walk around, but don't just sit without doing anything. So Bilal, so I'll come to you, Mr. Bilal.
I want to say something on this thing, because if you look at our society, the way we live, and if you want to keep the active population stay home without moving around, definitely it has affected us, and it is something that is very difficult to tackle. Right now, everybody is facing it, and the pressure is very high. And because in the society, the way we live, you hardly see a home that have certain facilities of kids having their playing ground, without moving outside. Most of our play areas are outside our homes. So if it was within, maybe you expect to keep them, at least you may have some, how to call it, little bit of percentage of keeping them, but we don't have nothing almost at home. Only few, almost is almost, you can say 0.00 up to 1, because how many homes can you go there and find even a small wheels where children can just be sitting, and then you pushing them and coming. Likewise, the youth, when we talk about the youth, is even the most difficult part, because either I play football, I play basketball, volleyball, and those are the type of things, or I want to go out for running, those exercises. So if we are kept at home, we don't have that facility at home, is difficult. But then what he said is important, because they have to be involved in whatsoever the society or whatsoever can help the society in terms of awareness. And in that one, there should be some precautionary measures, because if you said I should go out and start sensitizing, this means I have to be prepared personally, because going out at random like that, you can't do it. You have to protect yourself, and you go out, sensitize people, and tell them how to protect themselves. But sometimes that also is another issue. You see, I have seen people going around pasting posters, Red Cross on the vehicle going around, and I think most of the youths are involved. And in the football teams we are involved in, or basketball teams, it should be a collective effort. From where they said charity begins at home. If I play in a football team, in the club, I will talk to anybody and let's stay away. You see, your team, my team, and somebody else's teams, and that will help. But if you don't do that, and you start saying, okay, maybe it's an exercise, as you said, I want to go and run and come back. Anyway, it's difficult.
So the best thing is stay home, and keep advice. I mean, keep active.
Definitely.
The day that the National Sport Council decided to suspend all sporting activities in the country, then some of the teams and some of the academies, like our academy, we decided to call all the kids.
Good.
And then sensitize them, and then tell them what they need to do when they get home. And then since they are still going to stay home, and then we make sure that they protect themselves first, and then starting from their families also, and then to the communities. So now what they are doing is making videos of 1 minute, and then telling people what they are doing right now, and then telling their fellow kids to stay at home whilst they are doing this and so and so. So I think the information is out there, but the most difficult part is kids who are not having access to certain things that, like the things that you mentioned. So that's the most difficult part.
That's very right. So when you stay home, when we sit home, we can still be active. Like we can. I think the video Muhammad is talking about, I've seen some of those videos where young people or even children will be sensitizing people, like stay home, do this and do that. So that is very important. So Bilal, I will come to you. Being a young entrepreneur yourself, so the president's declaration of state of emergency, and the businesses are closed today. For example, many shops are closed, young businesses. What impact will this have on those young businesses? I mean, the coronavirus.
Yes, it has a great impact because looking at the SMEs, we are in the Gambia today, as in fact, you look at the youth we are talking about, and the awareness that has been raised within these few years, maybe 4 to 5 years back, trying to involve the youth into business. It has been going very well, and still it is going on. If you look in the like of Empretech, Nedi, and this YEP, you see, you have a lot of them that has come, and they are trying to push up the youth to try to be involved in business. Even the Youth Chamber of Commerce, they are doing really good. So if you just come up and one day and you hear that there's a state of emergency and all businesses that are not involved in food items like the provisions, they should close. Definitely, I know they will always think in what to do next. But if you look at it, I'm a mobile seller or building material, all sort of those things that are closed, no income. Because if it was like in those days wherein people, or if you are involved into businesses where you don't need to be there in physical, that's okay, but we are not. So here is physicality. I have to go and open my shop and wait for the clients. And the people are not coming, and I'm not even allowed to open my shop. So it has definitely just keep my business stand still. It is not moving. So it's a serious thing. I think government have to look at this, not only by closing. I know it's for our own prevention, but there could be ways and means wherein they can also assist these businesses in future.
So is there any hope for these small businesses? Of course,
in the future? There is hope. There is hope. Because when it happens, you look at the situation, that's not the end. Because in entrepreneurship, we always say that you start small and you grow. And obstacles should not stop you from doing your business. It, in fact, give you more ideas. You have to be more creative. Right now, I'm pretty sure some people are at home, but they are creating other things that they can do to earn them living or money. Because if this one is closed, I will try to open another door. And that's the beauty of business. And in entrepreneurship, you don't sleep. You keep on thinking, and you have to be creative and innovative. So even with the recent situation where we are, everybody is looking for marks, the mouth marks. It's scarce. It's nowhere to be found. And you have some of these young entrepreneurs who has just come up with this idea and try to get it locally made mouth marks. And this is business. It's going. Some people are even working on trying in this shop, locally made shop, and you can get it in a bottle. People can wash on liquid soap. So all those things are things that come on the way. When these things happen, then you have to think and see what can I do to keep my business going. But again, the government will look into this. I'm pretty sure they will look into this, and most likely there'll be some help that may come. So yes, because if you close this type of shops, not only even the SMEs, and some people, their living is on the business. Your daily sales, when you come, that's where you get your tomorrow fish money and whatsoever. And, all those things. But I think government will also look into that.
Yeah, indeed. As we are seeing in other countries as well, that the governments are stepping in and helping these businesses that are closed. So hopefully our government also will do something when it comes to supporting businesses that are closed. So anyways, viewers, we've arranged a presentation of the Khalifa of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat, the supreme and spiritual head, who since the start of this coronavirus has been advising not only members of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat, but the world at large on precautionary measures and what they should do. So we'll just go and watch this presentation. That when we come back to the studios, we'll continue with our discussions.
तो हर एक को अपनी लपेट में ले सकती हैं, इसलिए हर एक को बहुत एहतियात की ज़रूरत है। हुकूमती हिदायत पर अमल करें। बड़ी उम्र के लोग, बीमार लोग, ऐसी बीमारियों में मुब्तला लोग जिनका क़ुव्वत मुदाफ़ियत जिस्म की कम हो जाती है, उनको बहुत ज़्यादा एहतियात करने की ज़रूरत है। बड़ी उम्र के लोग घरों से कम निकलें, और यही हुकूमत का ऐलान भी है। सवाए इसके कि बहुत अच्छी सेहत हो, उमूमन घर में रहना चाहिए। मस्जिद में आने में भी एहतियात करें। यहाँ तक जुमा भी अपने इलाके की मस्जिद में पढ़ें, और आज की यहाँ हाज़िरी से भी लग रहा है कि अक्सर लोग जुमा अपने अपने इलाकों में ही पढ़ रहे हैं। सिवाय इसके कि इस बात पर भी हुकूमत की तरफ से पाबंदी लग जाए कि जुमा भी के लिए गैदरिंग भी ना हो। औरतें अमूमन मस्जिद में आने से परहेज़ करें। बच्चों के साथ आती हैं, उनको परहेज़ करना चाहिए। फिर अमूमन डॉक्टर भी आजकल यही कह रहे हैं कि अपनी जिस्म की क़ुव्वत मुदाफ़ियत बढ़ाने के लिए अपनी आराम को भी पे भी तवज्जो देनी चाहिए। उसके लिए अपनी नींद को पूरा करना चाहिए। अपनी नींद पूरी करें, खुद भी और बच्चे भी। एक बड़े आदमी के लिए 6-7 घंटे की नींद है, बच्चे के लिए 8-9 घंटे या 10 घंटे की नींद है। इस तरफ तवज्जो देनी चाहिए। यानी कि सारी रात बैठ के टीवी देखते रहे और 12 बजे तक उसके बाद सुबह उठ के देख तो नमाज पे ना उठ सके, फिर जल्दी जल्दी उठे, चंद घंटों के बाद काम पे जाना है, उसकी मुश्किलात, फिर सारा दिन सुस्ती, फिर कमज़ोरी, फिर काम की थकावट, और इसी वजह से फिर ये बीमारियां जो हैं हमला भी करती हैं।
Welcome back to the studios, viewers. We'll continue our discussion on the coronavirus, COVID-19, and we've just seen what the Supreme Head of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat told the members of the Jamaat and also the world at large in his Friday sermon of 20th of March. So, Bilal, what can we learn from the message that the Khalifa just said?
Yes, this is a very straightforward message, because Huzur is saying, we listen to what our governments in various countries, what the government is telling us. What is the advice of our government? So in case the government said we should not go out, we should definitely respect that, and we should not be deviant of what the announcement is being said. So the other thing is, if you are sick, you know you are not well, stay home, don't go to the mosque. So in case before the announcement is made, don't go to the worshiping places. If you are sick, this in Islam, this is it. Anytime you feel you are sick and you have something that can be transferable, stay at home, don't go to a public place wherein you will transfer it to other people. And we listen to the expert, like the WHO, the precautionary measures and the guidelines they have put on. We have to be always going by that, and we try to observe it. And again, don't forget about our Creator, that is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We should pray to our Creator always, because He's the only one who can save us from this pandemic. So He is saying we should try, by all means, observe all the precautionary measures, and then we respect the government's advice or announcement towards this pandemic, and stay away from the mosque if you feel that you are not feeling well. If you suspect yourself, don't go there, and you pray to your Lord for Allah to help us for this disease to get away from it.
Definitely, yes. And it's important, like the Khalifa has said, mentioned something very important, that is, during these days, we should not forget our Creator, that is Allah Almighty. You know, some people are not going to work, some people are staying home. This is an opportunity that with our families, since the state of emergency also declared that no places of worship should be open, is an opportunity for Muslims, for Christians to be home and also pray together with their families. As a Muslim, you should offer your 5 daily prayers with your families at all time, and improve your relationship with God. This is an opportunity for us as well, and we also return to Allah Almighty seek forgiveness, seek prayers, like Bilasa mentioned, that this disease, this virus that has changed our lives, the lives of every individual living in the world, that Allah Almighty will bring it to an end. So Muhammad Njai, I'll come to you. What are the precautionary measures, and what advice also will you give to the youth to be following when it comes to preventing themselves from this disease?
Yeah, I think the WHO have already outlined the precautions, and then one thing also young people have to do, that I keep saying all the time, like we have elderly people in our houses, and then we all know their immune system, most of them are ill. So we young people have to make sure that our parents at home, they are following the precautions. Even if they are not being able to do it, then we help them do it. And then yesterday I was driving towards Serakunda around Safidin. Then the anti-crime unit were telling people to go back to their houses and then stay away. And then we came up to the garage at Safidin, where we see a lot of young people sitting together, like no space, no distance, they're just together. And then the anti-crime unit came to them with respect, telling them that they should just dispatch and then go. And then all of them are like, no, we cannot, we are staying here, this is our street, we have to enjoy ourselves, things like that. I mean, we should understand that we have to take ownership of our country with the young people. I mean, if you look at the supreme leader following the words of the government, then who are we? I mean, there's a saying that if you want to be a leader, you must be a follower. Let us follow our leaders, and then whatever they ask us to do, we do it. Make sure that we stay at home, wash our hands always, and then it's going to help us with our personal hygiene also. So young people should take note on this.
In this issue, especially in our country, we have a long way to go, honestly speaking. And I think people are looking at the president's speech as trying to politicalize it. It's not political. This is about ourselves. It's about our health. So it's save yourself. For me, I don't even need to wait for the president to tell me do this. Honestly, because every day you watch news, you see what is happening around the world, you even start to get fear, because I don't need to wait for the thing to come and I start preparing. I prepared well before it comes. And this is what is happening. I think people are seeing, because the number is very small, and still they don't have the fear. But definitely we have to observe what is being said. The self-distancing is something very important, and limiting your movement. Because even if you see the drivers being saying half of whatever you used to carry, I think for me, the thing is, if almost everybody stay home, who are you to carry? But people are not staying home. If you go on the street, you see a lot of people are not observing it. But I want each and everyone to know that this is not for the president. This is for us. And if things goes beyond this, we are all going to face the consequences, because this country, we don't have the capacity. We don't have it. We don't have the capacity to manage much cases. So the smaller thing we have, we manage it, and we try to go by the guidelines, and we will be safe.
Definitely.
We will be safe.
Definitely. So, I mean, you should know that whatever the president said is for them. Whatever the experts are saying is for our own good. For example, you see that a ghetto, you are drinking attire, sharing the same, glass, or that's not even safe for our health. So we should all try and make sure that, we follow the guidelines, the instructions given to us. And also, one of the main things that's been said by the WHO is people to wash their hands cleanly. That will save you from, getting the virus into your system. So it is in this vein also we've prepared a little, presentation on how to wash your hands properly. Watch that, enjoy it, and when we get back to the studios, we'll continue with this discussion.
Washing your hands is more important than ever, and according to the World Health Organization, this is the best way to wash your hands. Once you've wet your hands with water, you should apply enough soap to cover all hand surfaces. In this example, our black gloves represent dirty hands, so let's apply soap. First, you would rub the hands palm to palm. Next, with the right palm over the left hand, with interlaced fingers, we'll rub together the backs of the hands. And you can see the edges of the fingers are not properly covered. So to clean the backs of the fingers, we rub them with opposing palms with the fingers interlocked. Next, the thumbs need a bit more attention, so with rotational rubbing of the left thumb clasped in the right palm and vice versa, we're able to rub the thumbs. Next, with rotational rubbing, backwards and forwards with clasped fingers of the right hand in the left palm, we can scrub in all the final details. We just need to make sure that we cover the wrists area, and that's the last part that needs our attention. Once the wrists are properly cleaned, we now have nice clean hands.
Viewers, welcome back to the studios. I hope we've seen how to wash the hand properly, and that is very important. We keep like personal hygiene. We save ourselves, save our families, save the elderly people living with us. In that way, we'll be able to fight, contain this disease, and hopefully very soon, one day, we'll get rid of it and life will go back to normal as it was. So, we'll continue with this discussion, and still on the presidential declaration of the state of emergency, so many things were said there, that people should not go to the mosque or churches for worship, that when you have a naming ceremony or when you have funeral, they've limited to 10 people. So all this, of course, have changed our lives. And so many other things, some businesses that are not essential should be closed, and people should try to downsize, offices. So these are things that are not normal to us. These are things maybe a few months ago you tell me Gambia one day will be like this, I would say no, never. Or you go to other parts of the world also, same things happening. So we'll discuss on this declaration by the President of State of Emergency. What should be done, Bilal Saab? Should we obey this, and why? The declaration and statement made by the President.
Of course we have to, we should obey it, because anything he is saying is for our own good. And if you look at it, for instance, you said all worshiping places to be closed. I have seen some people who are trying to be, not comfortable with that statement. All worshiping places should be closed. But if you look at it, by even the WHO guideline, the social distancing, if you look at that, and then when we go to the mosque and you are praying, it said it's shoulder to shoulder. And if we have to do that, because we cannot start praying, I stand here and you stand at 1 meter. We said we want to pray. That will not be possible. So we must come close to each other and we observe our congregational prayers. So you can pray, but not in congregation. That's even the bottom line in that one. If I want to go to the mosque and pray, I'm fine if I'm alone. But the congregational prayers is what we should avoid, because this thing is something that is transferable easily, either by shaking hand or touching it, or even by somebody sneezing if you don't put on masks. Because I don't want to be praying and put on my mask. So that one, it definitely has affected us as believers. Whether being a Muslim, being a Christian, or whatever, as believers, it has affected us. But that is a precautionary measure. It's better than you go to a mosque, everybody is affected. At the end of the day, you would like to go to the mosque, nobody can go. If you go to the funeral service, it's the same thing. The naming ceremonies, the weddings, all of them is the same thing. It's to avoid contact. That is the purpose. Even the 10 people, if they go, I think they should also observe some certain precautionary measures. Not just because we are 10, we can do anything we feel like doing, but it has to be observed according to the rules and regulations of the WHO guidelines. So all of them is for our own good, and I think it should definitely be observed to the fullest, not even haphazard.
Definitely. So, Mr. Mohammed, the last time I went to the market, for example, some young men, they are saying, oh, we'll open our shops. We'll do this, we'll do that. What should you do in accordance with the declaration of the President of State of Emergency?
I think people have to understand that in order to be free from this virus, we have to come together first. And then fighting this virus is not cheap, because a lot of time we will lose some businesses and then things like that will happen. But then also, I was thinking maybe, because Gambians, most of them follow their political leaders. So I was thinking all the political leaders will come together almost 3 weeks ago, and then for them to lead the campaign or the fight, and then be in front of everybody, so that we can fight this virus. I mean, at Serekunda market, people don't listen. I mean, young people, most of them don't listen. I mean, maybe they do listen, but like most of them don't know what is going on. Because they are at the market in the morning till at night, and when they get home, they're almost sleeping. So they don't watch TV most of the time. They don't know what is going on. You know, so it's very difficult to fight this. And then obeying what the president said is very important, 100%. I mean, it's something that is going to save us, save our country, and then we are free in 1 month or 2 months, maybe less.
Definitely,
yeah.
Definitely. I used to say, I said, you know, if this lockdown didn't happen in Europe, today the numbers will be in millions,
Yeah.
and that's the reality. So it means that people should be sensitized more, and young men, especially young men and women, should know that whatever the president said is for the betterment of the country and of Gambians ourselves. Because if this disease starts spreading in rapidly or in huge numbers, nobody's going out. We are all staying indoors. So before they all say prevention is better than cure. So I think we should, try and prevent ourselves, prevent our families, prevent everybody. Well, so we'll come back when we get to the studios. We just because this lockdown is not happening only in the Gambia here. I mean, Gambia is not under lockdown, but I mean, telling people to limit their movement is not happening only in the Gambia here. So we will just watch a presentation on what is happening in other parts of the world also. When we come back to the studio, we'll continue with our discussion on this very important topic.
For the past few weeks, there has been an overload of coronavirus information, with some governments enacting full lockdowns of their countries to people rushing beaches and parks in rebellious defiance. Now, some of the information floating around is true, but there's so much that's misleading. It's hard to keep track of what's fact and what's just WhatsApp rumors. So to make sense of it all and get our facts right, MTA reached out to an actual expert in microbiology who is working part of an international team to learn more about the infection. Professor Mark Fielder is a medical microbiologist. He's a professor at Kingston University and the president for the Society of Applied Microbiology. His expertise is that he's actually working in relation to the COVID virus with colleagues in America and China, and he's an expert in the infection. So, Professor, experts on WhatsApp have told me that having oranges, eating garlic, taking essential oils and our family's secret traditional medicine can fight this virus. Is that true?
There's been a lot of questions about whether or not things like orange and vitamin C and black seed oil and garlic and various other components can actually help protect you from getting the virus. This, to our current knowledge, is not true. It's all very true that many of these things do have health properties, but they do not help you from getting the virus.
All right then, if you're such an expert, what should we be doing then?
It's very important that we take a lot of steps to protect ourselves and others. The most simple thing you can possibly do is wash your hands. That seems very basic, but it is also very, very important. And washing your hands needs to be done in a very specific way. That should take about 20 seconds to do that, and it needs to be done thoroughly. It means you then cover the whole of your hand. Doing that under hot soapy water means that you then remove as much of the virus as possible and limit the infection, because the way the virus spreads is through what we call droplet infection, and that means droplets of water from your mouth or from your nose can land on a surface, and then you touch it and put it on your mouth, on your nose or on your eyes, and that can infect you. So washing your hands thoroughly really effectively breaks the cycle of infection. People think this is an old, silly thing to do. It really, really isn't. Washing your hands is very, very effective.
If I'm washing my hands so much, how am I supposed to sneeze and cough? I've always been told to cover my mouth with my hands when I cough.
That at the moment is probably not a good idea. If you do have to do that, please make sure you have a tissue. which you can cough or sneeze into. You can dispose of that tissue safely and then wash your hands. But most of the time we can't do that easily. So the best way is to cough and sneeze into your crook of your elbow. And you do that by putting your hand up here and coughing into your elbow. That's a very useful way of making sure that we limit the spread of the virus.
Okay, so I wash my hands and I cover my mouth when I cough properly. Surely that is enough, right?
Social distancing is keeping away from other people, limiting your contacts, so making sure you have a contact with no more than 2 people unless they are in your family, making sure you stand at least 2 meters or 6.5 foot apart, and avoiding gatherings of more than 2 people. This is really, really important. And sometimes that's difficult, but it is massively important, because if we limit that, we can stop the infection spreading. At the moment, we understand that 1 infected person can infect 2.5 other people. And those people going on and infecting more means we infect about 460 people. Cutting that in half means that we actually infect only 15 people. So this social distancing is massively important, and we should avoid social gatherings and also other gatherings such as religious gatherings or going to work unless we absolutely have to make sure that we limit the spread of this virus, save ourselves and also importantly save others.
Well, what about those living in very cold countries or very hot countries? My cousin in Pakistan says there's no virus there.
No, that's not true. If you look around the world at the moment, this virus has been active all throughout Asia. It's active in parts of Africa and it's active in all parts of Europe. And bearing in mind, one of the big outbreaks in Europe was actually in northern Italy, where people have gone skiing, so it's very cold. So both in hot countries and cold countries, this virus is active. So we can't rely on the fact that a country is hot or cold to make sure that this virus won't infect you.
Well, it all does seem a bit morbid. Is there any hope for the future? And what can I do to combat this virus?
I think we're back to almost where we started. It's about the social distancing. At the moment, for us as people on the street, we are socially distancing and then keeping away so we limit the movement of the virus and limit the infection. From a scientific point of view, there's a lot of work being done in trying to find drugs that kill this virus. And there is some work being done with a drug called decimavir, which looks like it might have some promise, and that might have come from work in other viruses like HIV. And there's a lot of work going on in progress to make a vaccine. Unfortunately, that's going to take about another 9 to 12 months before that vaccine is out, because we have to do lots of checks to make sure the vaccine is safe. But in the meantime, we need to follow our government's advice worldwide. We need to make sure that we don't infect people by social distancing and minimizing our contact with people.
So these were absolute facts about the virus from an actual expert. Now it's up to us to play our part.
Viewers, welcome back to the studios. As we've seen in the video, it doesn't mean that it's only the Gambia that is limiting the activities of its citizens, but it is happening all over the world. Before the break, our very gentle guest wanted to add something more on this topic, and we'll give them the chance to do so. Bilal?
Yes, coming back to the topic, what we have been discussing, and then even by looking at looking at the video we have just seen, you can see this is it's a world problem. This is the whole world is affected. It's not only the Gambia. If other countries are completely locked down, we are not yet to that level. But my worry is with all their expertise, you know, and you have the very good health sector, they are still struggling with the disease. What about we in Africa, particularly the Gambia, and we don't have those means? You see, they are doing all what they can to make sure that they overcome the virus. But they have the experts, they have the means, they have a very good healthcare system, but yet still they are struggling. We don't have all those things, and we are just allowed easily to social distancing and then taking the precautionary measures that was in our hands, as we have seen. And again, keeping more time at home, staying more at home than going in the street. But coming back to the other one before you go on break is like in the Gambia, Mr. Njai have mentioned, I think the politicians, have a great role to play, and not only politicians, everybody, but if the politicians come together and talk to their people, okay, and the government come and talk, and other individuals like family head, religious leaders, we all talk to our people, I think that would have it would have made a greater impact than just limiting it to WHO guidelines and then the government coming out telling us some of the guidelines we should observe. And again, when you look, because if they have to come out, all the religious leaders will have come out and talk to their people, the politicians come and talk to their people, I think they would have listened. But for now, I'm telling you, people are not listening. So many people are not taking it serious. Honestly, so many people, you go out to the street, you see what is happening. And I think all these people have a great role to play. And in the washing of the hand, I go around, I see a lot of places. Yes, you wash your hand. I really, that's my best thing I want to do. But sometimes the taps I looked at, education. If you look at the tap, you open, you wash your hand, you return. If you don't wash that place, should in case you come with something, you leave it like that, somebody come, you are likely going to carry. Because you open, you turn it, wash your hand, and some people, when they finish, they turn it again. And you touch it and you go out with it. And most of the taps here are like that. But in terms of awareness, advertisement and the like, honestly speaking, it is going on. You listen to the radios, the TV, social media. People are talking about it. But the issue is, are we ready for it? We are hearing it, but people are not taking it serious. And I think what Mr. Njai said would have been very, very, very good. The politicians come together, you know, with the government, and I have said the religious leaders, maybe people will start listening. Yeah, it's good for us than the way the situation is right now, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Muhammad, if you want to add something, Mr. Njai.
I mean, they all have to, like the politicians, they all have to understand that there are certain times that we need to put politics aside and then come together and then just be in front of the country and then save our country. I mean, also, when the president declared a state of emergency, I mean, the authorities, the police officers were on the streets telling people to keep distance and then was, you know, trying to make sure that people are following what the president said. And then I look at the pickup truck that the anti-crime unit was on, and I've seen almost more than like 10 police officers on top of it. There's no distance. They were all like this, and they were telling people to stay away from each other. So I think they have to understand that whatever we're going to say out there, we have to start it from ourselves. I mean, government, that's, I mean, 500 million is, I think, is enough money to make sure we have more vehicles that police officers, we will have like 3 or 4 police officers in one pickup truck, and then the other, then they can go in and then do the work effectively. And then there is one thing also, what's in our hand. It's very important because, because we have to avoid touching our face. For me, I touch my face almost every day, every time. So you see, what's in our hands, like, but I do make sure that I wash my hands all the time because I cannot keep away from touching my face because sometimes I forget. So for washing our hands like thoroughly every time is very important. Having a hand sanitizer in your car and in your bag, anywhere you're going, is very important.
Definitely.
Because there, what you said about the police, I have seen it, and they did not have any protective gears.
No.
So you see, you can see. I saw them close in one shop, and the push and pull was too much. I look at them, no marks, no nothing, absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's something that they have to look at.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So any course of time, I'll just say any last words, words of advice, comments that we would like to make, Mr. Mohamed Jai.
Yeah, and then finally to the young people, let us come together and then support our communities, support our country. We have to understand that this country belongs to us, and then we are the future leaders. And then if we want to inherit a country where everything is free, nice, and enjoyable, the atmosphere is okay, then we have to start now by coming together and then fight for the virus, make sure that our parents also, we support them, the elderly who are ill, and then we have to make sure that everybody knows the precautions, and then that's it.
Yes, Bilal.
Yeah, for me, stay home, observe the precautionary measures, and always respect the rule of law and whatsoever the president have to say or Ministry of Health. And one thing surprises me most is people go into social media, try to believe in certain things. I always say, let's listen to the Minister of Health for updates. People will start telling you that there's a new case there, somebody died, or it's not true. Let us always try to listen. In this country, the Minister of Health always update on a daily basis. We go by those updates. It's very important. And in the business sector, we have to understand that in order to save this country, it's a collective work. We have to come together. Seeing other shops are closed, others are not closed, that does not mean that it's segregation or whatsoever, because we have to eat. And some people will tell you that if I don't go to sell, I will not be able to have money to go and buy something to eat. I will not have food. I know, but for me, malnutrition is easy to manage than this virus. Because there is a matter of people coming together, bringing food and give you are okay. But the virus, once somebody got it, there's no cure. So the best thing is unfortunate for other people, but they have to observe it. And if you want it to end quickly, we should all do it collectively at once. We all lock down or lock our shops as it is said, and we do follow the precautionary measures, then it will not take us longer period. But if we defy those type of things and we want to do things, I'm doing, you are not doing, you are doing, I'm not doing, it will stay here for a longer period, and it will have a great impact in the businesses. Finally, on the vehicles, you know, some people are saying they have increased the fares. It's very unfair. Somebody's business is asked to close, no chance. You are given the chance at least to go and carry people. Again, you increase the fare. You don't think that that little chance you are given, it is at least to keep you and keep the people moving, but still they don't. What about the one whose shop is closed completely?
Definitely.
It has to be observed, and then we should all respect it. Not because it is 7 and some people get the vehicle full. So all those things are things that we have to observe. And then the mosques also, I still hear some people calling azan.
Yeah.
So you see, all these things is something that has gone against the rule of law. Even in Islam, it's not allowed. Calling azan when already the president have declared a state of emergency and saying that all Muslim places to be locked.
Oh, definitely.
So,
because of time, but we, like Bilal and Mr. Mawanja said, we thank you for coming, and it's very important we follow the directives given by the government. This coronavirus is very serious. Over 600,000 confirmed cases, more than 29 people have died. And, you know, if Gambia, we have like 3 cases, we have 1 confirmed, you know, person who died, doesn't mean that it's gonna stop there if we don't take the precautions. So whatever the government is saying, like even the Supreme Head of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat said, and our guests are saying, we should all follow. It's a collective work, and hopefully we keep praying that God Almighty will save the world, that we'll get back to how we used to be. And I believe in everything that is good in, like we are keeping our hands clean, you know, those things are very important for us. So we maintain those things. And thank you, viewers, for joining us and for this very, fruitful discussion. Until we come your way the same time next Sunday, thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.